Today we are back at our Firebase project and we are looking at different login providers here, or sign-in providers. Now last time we looked at the basic login form that I have at the top here, and I showed you guys how to do a normal email password authentication. And today I'm just going to add more login options for our users, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to add these, and it shouldn't take us longer than 5 minutes. So let me show you how it works. I showed you how to log in with an email and password. And if we do that, you can see we are logged in. And we can now also use one of these identity providers. So for instance, I can click on login with Google and a little pop-up comes up. And there it logs us in with our same Gmail account. I'm going to say log out. So I'm going to show you how to implement each of these within 5 minutes. Remember, we're using Vue.js and Nuxt together with Firebase as a back-end provider for authentication. So let me show you how this works. Here you can see our previous implementation where we have email and password authentication. Again, if you're unfamiliar with this, you can just check out our previous video and I'll link that in the description. So everything should still work. If I say log in, there you can see we've been logged in. So everything still works as we left it the previous time, but now we have to add our different identity providers here. So let's go to Firebase and do that now. So in Firebase, you can go to Authentication, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of sign-in providers here. And we can choose Facebook, Github, and we're also going to choose Google today. So I'm going to enable all of them. And with Google, you can just say save. Then with Facebook and with GitHub, some of the different sign-in providers, you have to create the app on their platform. So here you can see if I say enable, I've already created an app on Facebook with the app ID and secret. And then they give you this OAuth URI that you can use as well, which is very important because this you have to use on Facebook, on the app that you create on Facebook. Now it's very easy to create that, and I'll show you how to do that now. So just say save, and then the same with GitHub. Once you've created your app on GitHub, you can type in your client ID and client secret here. And then again, this is very important. You have to use this callback URL that they give you here within GitHub. Otherwise, this will not work. And say save. So if you go to this learn more link on the Facebook little pop-up, it will show you exactly how you can create a new app. If you go to the left-hand side in Firebase where it says authentication, there you can see there's web and then Facebook login. On this Facebook login, there's a link there, Facebook for developers. You click on that and you create a new developer account. I can just go to my apps because I've already created one. What I'll suggest is it's easier to create a test app if you are just testing it out like I am at the moment. So you can click on your test app after you've created it. One thing that's very important, you have to go to products and add a Facebook login. And then what's very important in this valid OAuth redirect URI, you have to add that link that you got from Firebase itself. So that link that they give you, you have to add that here, otherwise this will not work. And then the same for GitHub. So if we go to GitHub, you can see on github.com, I've also created an app using that link that Firebase gives me. And there you can see they give me a client ID and a client secret, which I've added into Firebase. And that's all you need. So when we go back to our application, now that we have that set up, we need to add the different identity providers here. So let's do that now. Alright, so in the code here, we are just going to create some buttons for our new identity providers. So let me add a divider here. So let's add a button for GitHub. As you can see here, I've added a little icon there with the material design icon GitHub. Just got some text there and also a click action that takes us to a method called GitHub login. And then we can go and create that method. So right below this login, that we can just say GitHub login. And now if we go back to our application, we have this button. It doesn't do anything at the moment. So back in our code, we want to do the same for Facebook and Google. So let's copy this button we have and just call the new one login with Google, or login with Facebook rather. And we change this color of the icon to blue, and we change this click action here to Facebook login, and then we do the same for Google. We call this Google login, login with Google, and we make this icon a Google icon, and also this icon must be a Facebook icon, and we make the color red for Google. Now again, we have these click actions, Google login and Facebook login, which we also have to add here. And now obviously we have to give it some functionality. So I'm going to copy this same code we have for the login function there at the top. The only difference is we're going to change this sign in with email and password method, which is a method we get from Firebase. We're going to change it to sign in with pop-up. And then we have to pass it a provider object. Okay, all of this is documented within Firebase. So you can look up on the Firebase documentation on how that works. So for instance, for GitHub, we're going to make a provider object here. And we're going to say new. And in our case, because we're using that Nuxt Firebase module, we can just say Nuxt fire module .auth. It doesn't matter what module you use, but basically this is just saying firebase.auth. And then we are going to reference a provider object, which is our GitHub of provider. Okay, so let's just fix that. Const provider, new GitHub of provider, and we pass it that provider with a sign in with pop-up. So let's see if that works. And if we go back to our code, and there you can see the other buttons, and if we click on GitHub, it makes a little pop-up and it will ask us authorize code-based tutorials. And there you can see it picked up my GitHub account, and I can log in with that if I want to. I'm just going to close this for now, and we go back to the code. Let's add the same thing, but for Facebook and for Google. So in this case, for Facebook, we're going to change this to a Facebook of provider, and for Google, we're going to change this to a Google of provider. We can save that. Now if we try to log in, for instance, with Google, it should pick up our code-based tutorials account. And there you can see it picked it up already because we're already signed in with code-based tutorials. And I can say log out. And then the same with Facebook. So it also brings up a little pop-up, and it will log us in if we're already signed in. But if you're not already signed in, it will ask you for a username and password, which is on Facebook's side, and then it will log you in. And that's it, guys. That's as easy as it is, and there's really no difficult part about this. So let me know if you found this useful. Also, once you log in with these, remember that the user ID, that user ID will still be the same if you log in with one of these identity providers. So you can still connect the user with, let's say, a user in your database, because the user ID will always stay the same if the email is the same. So guys, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.